Hello so creative, it's Faustina here. Welcome to another interesting tutorial. On today's tutorial we are going to learn how to cut and sew this beautiful wraparound jumpsuit that you are seeing on the screen. You see how beautiful our jumpsuit is looking. So if it's something that you like to learn, please keep watching and let's move over to our cutting table. So these are the material that we're going to use and cut our trouser, which is our jumpsuit. So this is the material. So I made use of Ankara material. I'm working with 4 yards of Ankara material. So I've gone ahead to fold our fabric into 2 using our hip measurement and adding like 4 extra allowance. At the folded side I mark out 2 inches, which will serve as our sewing allowance after drafting out our jumpsuit. So let's now start putting all our vertical measurement. From our waist we are going to mark out our crotch depth. How do you get your perfect jumpsuit crotch depth? Your hip divide by 3 will give you your perfect jumpsuit crotch depth. Remember, the jumpsuit is not fitted. You can even add like extra 1 inch so that the crotch will not be lapping on your camel toe. So I went ahead to mark out my hip line from my waist to my hip line, and also mark out the length of our jumpsuit. Before you mark out the length of your jumpsuit, you will now minus the upper side, like the upper half cut of your jumpsuit, and now complete the length of your jumpsuit. So after marking out the length, I went ahead to divide my hip by 4 to mark out my crotch line. So from our starting line by the side, we now impute the value, and from the waist to the hip and to the crotch depth, I now mark out the line. And our crotch line, we are going to now add our crotch extension by dividing our hip by 20, and after getting the value I now curve it back to the hip line like so. So let's now get our crease line. From our starting point to our crotch extension, I divide the value into 2. I mark out the half of it and I impute the value at our crotch depth, our knee line, and at the hem of our jumpsuit trouser. So let's get the knee of our jumpsuit. In case you did not measure your client, this is how you can get the knee of your trouser or jumpsuit. At that crotch extension, you are going to lay your tape at the crotch extension to the hem of your trouser, and you divide the tape into 2. You mark out the value, and from that value you go up by 1.5 inch. So this is basically your knee measurement. So I'm trying to rule it out like so. After ruling my knee measurement, from my crotch depth I'm going to come down by 6 inches to impute my thigh measurement. So I'm just trying to impute my thigh measurement. So your thigh measurement divide by 2, and the middle of the value that you got, you are going to lay it on that crease line. Like my thigh measurement was 21, I divided it by 2, it gave me 10.5. So I lay 5.25 on that crease line and mark out my 10.5 at that center of our trouser, and also at the side of our trouser like so. So I now impute that middle of the 10.5 on the crease line, and I mark out the values. So by the side I'm going to now taper the line back to the hip line, and also add the same value that I added at that thigh to the knee. Because it's a palazzo trouser, though it's not wide leg palazzo trouser, is a free trouser, so the value that I added at my thigh is what I add at my knee and at the hem of my jumpsuit trouser. So I'm trying to mark out the line like so. You are going to mark out the line all to the hem of your jumpsuit. So the value that I have at the knee, I'm trying to mark it at the hem of my trouser. So after marking it, you now join the lines together to give it that straight palazzo effect. So after marking it out, we now go back to the waist of our jumpsuit and start working on the upper part. After marking it, I'm now going to start marking out my waistline. So on the upper part, I divided my waist by 4 and input the measurement plus 1 inch dart intake. And after marking it out, I'm now going to taper it back to my hip line like so. After tapering it back to my hip line, I'm now start going to input our sewing allowance of 1.5 inch. You can as well do yours 1 inch or 0.75 depending on the fabric that you are working with. I have an excess fabric, that was why I added 1.5. So after marking the 1.5, which I even later trim when I finish sewing the outfit. So at the crotch line, I mark out 1/2 inch, and at the center of our jumpsuit, we are going to also add 1/2 inch allowance. We went ahead to add our dart leg using our nipple to nipple measurement, and we came down by 5 inch, and at the waist side we open up our dart by 1 inch, and at the waist side at the crotch line I came down by 1 inch, and I taper it back to the side of our front jumpsuit. Note that the back will not have that 1 inch curving. I'm not going to mark out that 1 inch now because we are going to use the front to mark out the back of our jumpsuit. So I'm just cutting it out. After cutting it out, I'm going to use this front to mark out our back trouser. So I'm just going to cut out from the initial waist of our front jumpsuit. So I went ahead to fold our fabric into 2. I placed the front on top of the back, and at the upper side I came down by 2 inch for our back crotch extension. So I went up by 1.5 by the crotch line, and at that crotch line I came in by 1 inch. I came in by 1 inch, and at the side I went out by 1 inch. That, like, I replaced that 1 inch that I came in by at the crotch line. I want our crotch to be very deeply curved. So this is how you get your deeply curved crotch, back crotch depth, so that your boob will balance very well. So at that side, I'm going to taper it back to the hip of our jumpsuit, which is the front jumpsuit. I'm going to taper it back, and we are not going to add any allowance at the back because we have already added allowance at the front side. So at the crotch line, I'm going to mark out my back crotch extension by dividing our hip by 10, and at the front crotch line I'm going to now input the value that I have. So I'm now trying to curve out our back crotch line like so. Use your free hand and curve it so that you will have a deep curve where your boob can relax very well. So after getting that value, I'm now going to taper it back to the knee of our front trouser. Sorry, my camera was not catching that particular place, but I'm going to rephrase it so that you will understand very well what I did at that crotch extension of the back. So our back is ready. we're just going to impute our darts like we did on our front trouser, adding our nipple to nipple measurements and coming down by 5 inch, and now open up our dart by 1 inch. So I'm trying to cut out the back because it's ready. After cutting the back, we are going to separate the back from the front. You see how deep that back crotch line is looking. See how deep it's looking. This will give your jumpsuit very free allowance at your bob side. So after cutting out our pattern, we are now going to now cut out that front 1 inch that I came down. So this is what I did at that back extension. So I came up by the value of my hip divide by 10 and I taper it back to my knee. So let's quickly draft out our wrap round, the upper part of our jumpsuit. I've gone ahead to mark out all the vertical lines from my shoulder to my armhole, from my shoulder to my bust point, and from my shoulder to my waistline. And from that my shoulder, I form my shoulder to my neckline and my neckline depth. So from my armhole depth, I'm coming up by 3 inches. I went out by 0.75 and I taper it back to my shoulder tip, and I now complete the armhole by adding my bust divide by 4, and at my waist I'm going to add my waist divide by 4 plus 1 inch that intake, and I'm going to complete the measurement. I'm imputing my bust point, which is my nipple to nipple measurement, and I open up my dart by half an inch. So from my bust point I came down by 1 inch and now mark out my dart. So at my bust point I'm coming down by 2 inch to mark out my side bust dart. Remember, our front and our back is not the same. The front waist and the back waist of our body is not the same. So at the center of our front I came out by 6 inches, and at the shoulder I came down by 9 inch, and at that 6 inches I came up by 2 inches. So I'm just going to join the points together like so. From our neckline I'm now going to mark a curved line to that 9 inches that I came down from to get our wraparound curve. So our front is basically ready. We're just going to cut out our measurements. So after cutting out our front pattern, we are going to notch that 6 inches that we came out from, so it will give us an edge to know how to overlap our wraparound. So I'm now going to close up my side bust and now taper it down, and now continue to cut out my front pattern. So I'm just trying to complete that excess that we are lacking at that side. So let's quickly draft out the back. I've gone ahead to mark out all the vertical measurements from the shoulder to my armhole and from my shoulder to my back waistline. Remember, the front and the back waistline is not the same. The back, my back is 15, while my front is 17. So from the center of my back I'm now coming out by 1 inch to eliminate zipper bulge, like it's called waist contouring, to eliminate zipper bulge. So after marking out that 1 inch, from that 1 inch I'm going to mark out my waistline plus 1 inch dart. After I had to mark out my bust divide by 4 and put the value and taper it to my waistline, I'm now going to start working on my armhole. I divide that armhole line into 2. From my shoulder slope I divide it into 2. My back shoulder slope was 1 inch while the back was 1.5. So I taper it to the tip of my shoulder and I now complete my armhole like so. So our back pattern is ready. We are just going to input our dart and now start transferring it to our fabric. So I went ahead to input my dart by adding my nipple to nipple measurement, open up my dart length by half an inch. So I've gone ahead to transfer all the pattern to my fabric by adding half an inch to all the necessary places, and by the side I added 1.5 for my sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to place the back upside and our trouser side to see if they will match at the dart side. So they are just matching. So I'm just going to mark out where my zip will start and also head my dart. So I'm just going to mark out my where my zip will start, and I'm just going to sew half an inch at my crotch back depth, and also head our dart and join it at our waist. So the front part, I'm just going to head our dart, our upper dart and our down dart, and sew half an inch at our front crotch trouser. So, and the front I'm going to cut out facing that we use and turn that wrap around side. So I'm going ahead to cut out the face. I'm going to sew half an inch, and after so I'm going to notch it and top stitch it, and now flip the facing at the back of our wrap round and head our dart. So I've gone ahead to head it, and this is the outcome of our upper part, front upper part, the two side. I'm now going to now overlap it using that notch that we notched earlier to overlap it. I make sure that the two notch are meeting each other. So after making sure that the two notch are meeting each other, I'm going to now sew it. Quickly move over to my sewing machine and sew it, and also join it to the front of our jumpsuit, which is the trouser part. So I've gone ahead to sew half inch to the crotch side of our trouser part. After sewing it, I'm now going to join the waistline by half an inch. So this is the outcome of our jumpsuit. You see how beautiful our jumpsuit is looking. I also gone ahead to sew the back side. The upper side I head the dart and join it to our back trouser parts like so. So this is it. I will just go and add my zip and also turn the facing of our back part. So we are now going to start sewing the inseam of our jumpsuit. I'm just going to place the front and the back jumpsuit together like so. I'm now going to match it until I get to the hem of our trouser. After getting to the hem of our trouser like so, you see how I'm trying to match it up. So this is how the outcome of it. And now I'm now going to sew half an inch all over to the other leg of our jumpsuit. I'm now going to sew to the other leg of our jumpsuit. After sewing to the other leg of our jumpsuit, we will now start working on the side of our jumpsuit. So I've gone ahead to add my zipper and turn the back facing of my jumpsuit, and we are now going to start working on the side of our jumpsuit. I'm just basically going to place the front and the back together, sew the shoulder. After sewing the shoulder, we now mark out our side body measurement, mark out the circumference of our bust, waist and our hip. Make sure that you remark your body measurement so that you make sure that what you are sewing is your body measurement. So I've gone ahead to mark it and also sew it. Look at my markings. I will now just quickly go and sew it, and I added my sleeve. So if I've watched to this point, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and thank you for always coming around. If you are a returning subscribers, thank you for all your comments, likes, and for my new subscribers, I love you all. I'm seeing you all. Thank you. I went ahead to add a rope at the side of our jumpsuit that we'll be using to tie my waist. So I also add my sleeve length. So bye, thanks for watching.